What up? I want to talk about some shit, but first I have to merge, and I could have done that before starting this video, but I didn't. So that's the way it goes. I'm not sure even exactly where I want to start. I had a strong feeling of what I wanted to express, and then it got kind of merged with some other things. Because a lot of it's the same. I mean, the fear isn't stopping. I just keep coming back to this whole, this is what we are learning to choose trust. We are learning that this is our choice. This is what we have power over. When we're in fear, the mind doubts. The energy of fear lives up here. The energy of doubt, of mistrust, of distrust. This voice, this narrative that says it's a trick, it's a lie. They're deceiving you. It's always going to cast outward too. It's going to say it's them, it's some imaginary enemy that wants you to relax so that they can trick you. They want you to go willingly or some shit like that. Whenever there is this creation of enemy, the imagined enemy, it is imagined. Enemy is always imaginary. It is. It is turning shadows into monsters. And very often, it is painting the beloved, that is life, as an adversary. One minute you're in the loving arms, and then suddenly you notice the tension, you notice the feeling of being held, and instead of realizing it for what it truly is, which is support, right? Which is comfort, which is this tender caressing of adoration, you feel held in the other sense, right? You feel constricted. You feel like something is trying to suffocate you. The mind comes in and it says, danger, death, quicksand, suffocation. Don't relax, resist. Don't sink into this. Don't trust this. That's what it wants. There we go. Imaginary enemy. That's what it wants. That's what they want. Yeah, they want to trick you. They want you to relax so that they can take you over. They can devour you. They can consume you. They want you to just slide willingly into unconsciousness. You don't become unconscious by relaxing. I know we're confused about this because of what physical sleep is. Physical sleep is a state of non-resistance, at least as close as we can get to it. Some people, like me, experience dreams pretty much the whole night long. I barely reach deep sleep because I'm so used to resistance. That's a whole other story. Dreams, of course, don't have to be resistant, and I've had many incredible, rejuvenating dreams, but we confuse sleep with what we think death is. Again, some sort of annihilation, some sort of forgetting, unawareness. Just because we're not tuned in enough to remember sleep, just because we haven't quite refined that sense in this physical form to the degree where we can actually feel sleeping happening. I actually think that that's possible. I think that's a part of the evolution. That's just my feeling, though. Just because we're not sensitive enough to remember sleep doesn't mean that it is a departure from existing. Just because at this point we're still forgetting sleep, so it feels like a gap, doesn't mean that it is a gap. Again, the rest is still a period. It's still a part of the music. It's not absence of. There is no such thing. That's just a misunderstanding. That's just the mind seeing space and thinking that something is missing there instead of realizing that it's full of space. There's something there. It's just something subtle. It's just the quiet version of the note. It's not nothing. That's not possible. There's always something there. It's just a something that is so subtle that it's not gross. It's not detected by the mind and by the gross senses, the physical senses. But you can feel it. You're aware of it. If there was truly nothing there, it would be like a blind spot. It would just, you wouldn't even sense it at all. There would be nothing to even think was missing. It's something. It's just a different je ne sais quoi. It's something. But the waves of terror are continuing and will continue. And it is painful. And I have had a really challenging time with it. And even my wife is feeling it. Even my wife, of course she's feeling it. She's also sensitive to this stuff. But she is a lot more grounded. She is a lot more stable. And her embodied experience is very embodied. She is very aware of body. She's like, we were just talking about this and how interesting it is that actually her triggers and where she can get sort of lost and caught up all have to do with body, with physical feelings, whereas mine have to do with mind and emotion, kind of more just the upper half. So she's very grounded and centered in the lower part of the chakra system, I suppose, and I'm more focused in the upper half. Another thing that sort of just beautifully helps us to balance. We just balance. We balance one another. And but she is feeling this. I think everyone is feeling this. Again, I've said this before, everyone is coming online. It doesn't matter if you've never considered yourself sensitive. You're feeling the shit. There's too much of it. The wall between you and sensation, between all of us and sensation, it's coming down. It's wearing thin. It's just, it doesn't work anymore. We can't keep it out. We are not able to keep the pain out. Our pain, collective pain, because pain is pain. And if you have been running from it, then it's very likely to just turn into anger and be projected at you. This is how we run. This is how we run from pain. We feel the hurt, and instead of staying with the hurt, because we're not taught how to do that, instead of staying with the hurt, we deflect it. And it either turns into blame, it's externalized in that way, or shame, which is an internalizing, but still a projection. You're still pointing it somewhere and like moving. What we're really doing is moving out of the feeling of hurt. Again, like passionate neutrality. That is, it's what I mean by neutral is that you're not sending it away somewhere. It's not being sent. The sensation that you're receiving isn't being sent back out or sent inward into this other kind of spiral. Both shame and blame are attempts to get away from a different feeling, a feeling of vulnerability, of insecurity, of hurt. And that position taking is both of those, again, are undergirded by a belief that this shouldn't be happening. This feeling shouldn't happen. If you just don't take that step, if you just say this really hurts and I don't like that this is happening, I don't like that this feeling is happening, this feeling is really sad, this really hurts, I really don't like that happened, this really hurts, it just makes me so sad that this happened. If you just stay there with the hurt, you haven't taken a position. You haven't formed an opinion. You're actually in your ownership of your subjective truth of this is your experience. When you choose to just stay with your experience, what we would call subjective truth, you actually experience it objectively. By your choice to own your experience as your own and to stay there, you move into objective experience of reality, which can only happen through your stepping through your allowance, your acceptance and acknowledgement of the pure subjective experience. That's where you get to objective truth. Through you, through the ownership of your subjectivity. If you try to make an objective truth, if you take something that is inherently your experience and you try to project it outward and you say this is what it is, this is the way it should be, this is objectively true, and this is where moral relativity and absolutionism get totally twisted. And the reason all of these conversations are so hard to have is because it's paradoxical. Because so much is paradoxical. Everything is paradoxical. The mind flips everything 180 degrees. It's the opposite of what it appears to be. It's amazing. When you start to see it, it's fucking amazing. But people who argue as moral absolutionists, they say this is absolutely wrong. What they don't realize is that they have turned subject. I'm really trying to figure out how to phrase this. Sometimes it comes to me, it's not coming to me right now. When you see, let's start it this way. When you look out at the world and you recognize that everyone and everything that exists is having an individuated experience. We are all experiencing. But none of us can know how or what the experience of another is. In fact, everything is experiencing. Not just humans, obviously, not just animals, not just organic living things. Everything is experiencing. Did you know slime molds are experiencing? Slime molds do not have a brain. Slime molds do not have a nervous system. Slime molds are fucking crazy. They are essentially a giant, from my understanding, because there are different types of these things, there are social amoebas that do just like mass together, but if I'm correct in this, plasmoid slime molds are one giant amoeba that just keeps like replicating inside of itself, essentially. It's one giant amoeba. It's like one huge cell. They can weigh up to 40 pounds. And they're intelligent. They are experiencing. They're experiencing the world. They're experiencing existence. They can solve mazes. They seek out food. This is not just some... If a thing were truly dead and not experiencing, not taking anything in, why would it feed? How would it know even to seek food? It's sensing the food. There has to be a sensing taking place. There must be experiencing occurring in order for something to move towards a source of food, to branch the way it does. Slime molds are the most efficient. They're city planners. They have outsmarted quantum computers. Look this up. It's amazing. They have solved algorithmic problems that have taken quantum computers years. They have solved in a matter of days. They're intelligent. No brain, no nervous system. Absolutely experiencing the world. What that experience is like, we have no way of knowing. But we can clearly see and feel that experiencing is occurring. So again, this paradoxical duality that is, my experience is completely unique to me, and yet I can see and sense that what is shared is the ground of experiencing. That we are all this. Ultimately, we are this. Being, experiencing, feeling. This is what we are. We are all here. In fact, if I were to identify truthfully myself, I would identify as being here. That is who I am. That is what I am. I am being here. That is really just about as much as I can say about myself. That's me. That's me. I am being here. That is who and what I am. The way I was gonna start this video, what I initially was gonna talk about, and I'll just slip it in here, is that essentially that so much of the confusion and the suffering, it's an identity crisis. This is why, of course, we're all trying to figure out who and what we are, but we're doing it externally because we've gotten confused, and we're further confused by society. And this isn't to blame anyone. This is just, it's kind of a big laughable thing that for all of this time, humans have been trying to define themselves and identify themselves in terms of things that they can't be, that they simply are not. And I don't think that there's anything wrong with that. In fact, probably a pretty logical way to go about it is to try on all of these things that you're not, in order to finally realize, finally direct the gaze a different direction and go, oh, of course, I can't be anything other than I am. I am what I am. I am that I am. All of these things. We come into the world and we have parents and members of society that say, you can be anything. No, you can't. And I'm not saying that as a pessimistic, downer kind of view. That's realistic. You can only be you. This is so confusing. We confuse children from the very beginning. Say you can be anything. No, you can't. You can't be anything other than you. And furthermore, you don't need to. You don't need to. You don't need to be anything other than you. And if you look at you, what can you really say about yourself? What can you really be? What can you really be? This is what was occurring to me last night. As again, I've been in and out of this depression. I've been in and out of this despair and this like panic. There's been a lot of panic. The fear, the pain, the sadness, the mind just screaming wrong, like everything is wrong. Something is wrong, everything is wrong, because it's always both. There's never just one thing cannot be wrong. Everything is wrong. It's wrong, it's all wrong, or it's all right. Right? And this mind habitually screams wrong, 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 wrong. Everything is wrong. And it sends me into a panic. And over again, I recognize that this screaming and this sensation that is suffering, it's really, really uncomfortable and unpleasant, isn't actual information. But it doesn't matter. What's happening here is that I am believing a thought. That thought says everything is wrong. And that just creates this spiral of suffering. And what it points towards, for me, what it shows me, is that, again, my choice is whether or not to believe this thought. And that really comes down to trusting. Because the thought says everything is wrong, and that really fucking hurts, and I can't go on, I can't continue believing that thought. It hurts too much. So I have a choice. Do I continue believing this? Or do I set that thought down and say, I don't know, I'm gonna trust that everything's okay. I don't know, but I do know believing this thought that everything is wrong makes me want to end my existence. It is too painful. It is too unpleasant of an experience. But it has nothing to do with anything around me. It is the belief of this thought that everything is wrong that creates the sensation that I cannot tolerate. So, do I go on suffering? Or do I choose to put down that belief that is generating it and trust instead? Do I choose to relax because tensing is just too uncomfortable to continue? Because it's just exhausting. I want it to end. I want the tension to end. I have the power to do that by choosing to trust what is. Choosing to just set down the thought. It's not really picking a new belief. It's just putting down the belief everything is wrong. Again, I'm really not taking a position. I am surrendering a position, realizing that holding that position is what is causing my suffering. But this happens over and over. Over and over. Evidently, I want to be really good at this. Evidently, I keep choosing to depart from my knowing and my awareness because I want to be really good at coming back to it. And I do enjoy coming back to it. And I probably want to get so good at coming back to it that I can help other people understand how to do that. That sounds satisfying. But ultimately, it's that I enjoy within myself the experience of departing to this distant shore of terror and doubt and finding my way back to the home and the peace of present, relaxed trusting. But again, kind of looping back, because this is another part that I wanted to say, is how much we confuse ourselves and one another by using the word be and saying that we be things. You can be anything, and then we fucking confuse it even further by saying, like, you can be a police officer, you can be strong, you can be happy. None of those things are true. All of that is a lie. You can't be any of those things. You can experience those experiences. You can experience things that have labels. But you cannot become, you cannot be any of that. You can't be other than that which you are. And what you are is here. As my mind was reeling again last night, saying, I'll never be happy, I'll never be happy. God, how many times have I had this conversation with myself? Again, I saw at least enough to say, you will never be happy. But if you can't be happy, just be here. Be what you can be. Realize that being happy is an unrealistic goal. You're not going to get there. You're not going to be that. So, what can you be? What are you? What are you? Here. You cannot be happy. Happy is not a thing that you can be. You can't be sad either. That also is not a thing that you can be. You can experience sensation that you might call happiness or sadness, but you cannot be either of these things. So give up this unrealistic, unachievable goal. What are you? What can you be? What are you actually capable of being? Here. I can be here. I can become here. I can be now. Can you feel it? I'm sure you can. It's hard to put into words. Because again, I cannot be anything other than I am. I can't become something other than I am. And what am I? Here. Now. That's me. And when I realize that, I realize I never needed to be anything other than this, other than that I am. I never needed to be happy. I never needed to be prepared. I never needed to be good. I couldn't ever be those things. I'm not confident they even really exist. Their experiences, perhaps, maybe, even that is questionable. I was never going to be those things. I couldn't ever be those things. And when I finally accept and admit that, and I just am what I am, which is actually where I am, it's so clear I never needed to try to be those things. Being me, being here which I can do, which I do, because I am. Being this, there is satisfaction. There's something other than happiness and other than sadness. There's feeling here. There's a peace and a joy and a satisfaction that I almost wouldn't call emotion. It's the feeling of me. It's just me. I am here. And that's all I ever needed to be. That is all I ever needed. Is to be me, to be here, now. I know this, and I forget this, and I remember this, because I enjoy that game. And I think I really enjoy the game because I want to be good at it. I want to be good at it. I want to be able to traverse that space, that gap, so gracefully, so adeptly. Anyway, I need to go inside. I'm already late. I don't know if I've expressed everything that I wanted to, but I've expressed. And that is more than enough. Trust being here. Keep choosing to trust. Keep choosing to stop trying to be anything and just be what you are. Not happy, not prepared, not good, not bad or sad. You can't be those things either. But you can be here. That's what you can do. If you can even call it a doing. It's not really. It's effortless. It's you. I love you. Take it easy.